and who we say is going to be the governor, or be a senator, or be a member of the House of Representatives, and all of that. Let us also give respect to the office that we all occupy, that God has called us. And be careful that these things that we say, they have a way of having a ripple effect. You must have to understand that in the midst of all of this, God is still God.
Listen to Planet 101.1 FM News at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. with our news in special English at 2:30 p.m., Mondays to Fridays. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, revolving around you.
In the news at noon, federal government disburses 173 billion naira for uniform fuel price nationwide. Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission commences 2022 mini bid round. Stakeholders in Akwa Ibom State call on state government and House of Assembly to end the National Water Resources Bill. On the foreign scene, Rwanda makes U-turn on DR Congo refugees. In sports, Marcus Rashford's double helps Manchester United beat Charlton to reach the Carabao Cup semi-finals. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. I am Bright James. Our first report this afternoon is that stakeholders in Akwa Ibom State have called on the state government and House of Assembly to put an end to the National Water Resources Bill, which has twice been rejected by the 8th and 9th National Assembly. Speaking at a press conference in Uyo, they expressed their satisfaction with the National Water Resources Bill, which has been forwarded to the National Assembly for the third time. They noted that the reintroduced bill will now throw millions of people across the Niger Delta region and Nigeria at large into poverty, as well as insecurity, and therefore should not be accepted.
The clerk of the House was mandated to communicate the passage of the bill to His Excellency the Governor, which I think that would have been done. And I believe that the bill that was passed will enable the states to attract some funding from federal government, international donor agencies, and of course will also strengthen water cooperation in Akwa Ibom State. It is also interesting to know that the adequate financial and administrative autonomy will be granted to Akwa Ibom State Water Corporation Limited. That will enable them to be self-funded and of course commercially viable with focus on urban and small towns area. Borehole water drillers that are not licensed to drill borehole will be put to rest.
Also, they urged the government and National Assembly to liaise with all their stakeholders across the South states and take unified position on the issue in order to stop the passage of the bill and its impending crisis in the future.
Have absolute control of water regulation, provision of water on the law. The law is giving the powers to those people in the water sectors to have absolute control of water regulation, provision of water, and also look into whatever business everybody is doing underwater. As well as the water company is now going to be started with that responsibility of providing water to Akwa Ibom people. For those that don't have water in their house, there's already a provision, but maybe government sometimes do not fund those water construction very, very well. And that is to say that we are trying to make it a kind of a privatized company that can also generate revenue for the state and also fund themselves.
Our correspondent Esther Otoyo reports that the National Water Resources Bill was first introduced as an executive bill in 2017 and was perceived as rural grazing area (RUGA), which led to the rejection. According to reports, the overall objectives of the bill is for efficient management of the water resources sector, for the economic development of Nigeria and well-being of the citizens, to ensure that the nation's interstate water resources are protected, used, and developed. Away from that, some residents of Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, have again asked the government at all levels to intervene in the current fuel situation in the state, which has led to the hike in price of transportation. Speaking with Planet News, some respondents said that the hike in fuel price has affected their businesses negatively and causing low patronage. They lamented that their current salary structure will not be able to sustain them in the current situation.
God is oriented. It's 50 naira, 100 naira. Oh, they will come and boost my bank out. Sometimes that's how.
I'm not a go from a basin, so many diets. Even think away the again, and I want to take a similar mean, get water. I mean, young money.
Income business me. Can naked because of now for a song. You can be swako, my way. Okay, as it is one before I ask you.
Well, me, I did for our waiting. We can come more and I guess it can.
Say, I don't oil producing state. If we now for a song would want to make it Bible say.
They further appealed to the government and agencies responsible for regulating the price of fuel in the state to look into the current situation and create solutions to it.
No government. Yeah, I'm boy bama. Okay, imemme. Mwana si yung regulate fuel prices. And yung I say fuel station. Si yung fuel. Yani ke song uruabo. Ki yung mame.
We increase the salary. From one was over ban. So make by mbok ya mukara nyo yung sunu wala no ngin. Kengi ni mini ibo fini wa.
Mbe mukara mbok ya su ngin sa ngene mbok. Ya mane su uru afel. Je uru afre mpo. Menidia keni na ngaba.
Our correspondent reports that fuel is now selling between 300 and 320 naira across some filling stations of the state, as against 165 naira that was initially the official pump price sold. To the national scene now, where the federal government has disbursed about 173.2 billion naira for the equalization of over 11.6 billion liters of premium motor spirits (BMS), popularly called petrol, between 2019 and 2022. Reports say premium motor spirit price equalization is done by the federal government through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, in which they ensure price uniformity of petroleum products via the reimbursement of marketers for trucking products to filling stations anywhere in Nigeria. But despite the billions spent in petrol price equalization, the cost of the commodity has hardly been equal in various states across Nigeria. Reports noted that over 173.2 billion naira had been disbursed to equalize the cost of petrol nationwide. The target of the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources was to ensure energy sufficiency in power and petroleum products, as well as reduction in the volume of smuggled PMS through improved technology. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, has announced the commencement of its 2022 mini-bid round. According to a press statement signed by NUPRC Chief Executive Officer Benga Kumalafe, he noted that the mini-bid round, which presented 7 blocks on offer, is an opportunity to ignite new exploration and drilling activities in Nigeria's deep waters. NUPRC is expected to manage the mini-bid round process in line with the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, the 2022 Petroleum Licensing Round Regulations, and other relevant laws. Komalafe stressed that the mini-bid round was a market-driven program that would follow a transparent and competitive procurement process designed to attract competent third-party investors from across the world. In a separate development, the federal government says it will establish Nigerian railways and host community security committees as part of measures to curb the incidence of armed attacks on railway infrastructure and passengers in the country. Minister of Transportation Ademola Adegorie disclosed this during his visits to the Tom Ikimi train station in the Igweben local government area of Edo State, which was attacked by gunmen last week Saturday. Gubike stressed that the establishment of a cooperative initiative between the Nigerian Railway Corporation and the host communities is to ensure that security is beefed up at the railway stations. In a statement, the federal government will take proactive measures to forestall train station attacks in the country and ensure safety of passengers and facilities. The minister, who solicited the cooperation of the host communities in this regard, maintained that it was in the best interest of the host communities to ensure that federal government investment in personnel are protected. We move now to the judiciary, where the President of the Court of Appeal, PCA, Justice Monica Mensem, has asked election tribunal officers numbering 350 to leave above board during their service in the forthcoming elections. She cautioned that if any of them compromise the system, they would not only be relieved of their service but would be prosecuted in line with the recommendations by the Federal Judicial Service Commission. The PCA gave the warning in Abuja at a two-day capacity building workshop for those who would serve as officials of the election tribunals, stressing the importance of functional registries to the effectiveness of election tribunals. The PCA stated that the training was aimed at preparing the officials for the task ahead. You're listening to the news on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM. Let's take a breather and then bring more stories from our foreign sports and entertainment scenes. You stay with us.
Healthy living begins with the choices one makes. Choosing to live healthy is the first step to healthy living. Join us Sundays 1:30 to 2 p.m. for Health Way, awareness for healthy choices.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, on the foreign scene, Rwanda's government has walked back on President Paul Kagame's stand that the country will no longer offer refuge to people fleeing conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Recall that Kagame had said refugees fleeing across the border into Rwanda were not Rwanda's problem, but government spokesperson Yolande Makolo in a statement said Rwanda had no intention to expel or ban refugees. She accused the media of misrepresenting President Kagame's remarks. She tweeted that the president addressed the blatant hypocrisy in criticizing Rwanda, which simultaneously gets the blame for state failure in the DR Congo, and is then expected to accommodate those who seek refuge from the consequences of that failure. Now to sport, where Marcus Rashford scored 2 late goals to take his tally for the season to 15 and put Manchester United into the Carabao Cup semi-finals at the expense of League One Charlton at Old Trafford. Anthony's superb first-half opener gave United the advantage, but Dean Holden's visitors claimed plenty of credit for the way they continued to battle until second-half substitute Marcus Rashford found the net for a 6th successive game with goals in the 90th and 94th minutes. Charlton's 9,000-strong travelling support, their largest ever for a midweek cup tie, applauded their side off, having backed them throughout, briefly raising hopes of an equalizer when Scott Fraser curled his free-kick straight at Tom Heaton. For United, it means 8 wins on the trot, and the third last 4 appearance in this competition in 6 seasons since they won it in 2017 under Jose Mourinho, their last domestic silverware. They lost the last 2 to Manchester City, who United faced in the Premier League at Old Trafford on Saturday. Now, on the entertainment scene, some celebrities in the entertainment industry have sympathized with the family of the famous Nigerian filmmaker and founder of the globally acclaimed film ceremony, Africa Movie Academy Awards, Peace Anyam Osigwe. Peace Anyam, who was popularly called the Queen of Nollywood films, passed away on Monday in Lagos at the St. Nicholas Hospital after a brief illness. Following the announcement of her death, celebrities like actress Joke Silva, Ramsey Noir, Toyin Abraham, Yul Edochie, Witty Dominic, and comedian AY have taken to social media to mourn the late filmmaker. Peace Anyam. It's been the news on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM. But before we go, a recap of the major stories. In the news, we told you the federal government has disbursed about 173.2 billion naira for the equalization of over 11.6 billion litres of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, between 2019 and 2022. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has announced the commencement of its 2022 mini bid round. Stakeholders in Akwa Ibom State have called on the state government and House of Assembly to put an end to the National Water Resources Bill, which has twice been rejected by the 8th and 9th National Assembly. On the foreign scene, we told you that Rwanda's government has walked back on President Paul Kagame's stand that the country will no longer offer refuge to people fleeing conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In sports, reported that Marcus Rashford scored 2 late goals to take his tally for the season to 15 and put Manchester United into the Carabao Cup semi-finals at the expense of League One Charlton at Old Trafford. For comments and coverage of newsworthy events, call newsroom on 0812-770-2940. Visit our website on Planet11fm.ng and follow us on Twitter at Planet_101FM. You can also like our verified Facebook page at Planet101FM Uyo. The news was edited by Jane Owa. As you end the news, always remember that life is what we make of it, always has been and always will be. I am Bright James. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.